Hi everyone. I wanted to talk about the meaning of this month's Paint and Sing piece and dedicate it to a really special human who couldn't find relief from the troubles of this world except to just say goodbye. And it's Mental Health Awareness Month, so it's especially important that I talk about it now. This person struggled with the repercussions of repressive beliefs in their life and found, if only for a time, a great deal of life-saving solace in the art of film and filmmaking. I didn't get a chance to know them very well, so it seems sort of strange that I'm doing this, but the limited times we had conversations, I found myself really echoing their struggles and also their great love of creating and sharing art. I guess regardless of how long you know somebody, a kindred spirit is recognized right away. And I had really worried about them. I understood personally the severity of what they were experiencing, and it might feel strange to feel this level of grief for somebody that I had very little connection to, but it's partially a testament to how open and hoping this person was to make connections, and in the end, probably my contribution wouldn't have made a whole lot of difference, but when these things happen, you always think, what could I have done? How could I have reached out more? So I'm not only grieving their final successful attempt to find peace, but I'm grieving the reasons which caused them to search for it, which really frustrate me. I would like to say that any subject of worship, whether completely secular, like the ideal of education, or a religious one like that of God, which causes us to restrict people from being who they are for the worse, barring behaviors that hurt or harm, should always be analyzed by its devotees. And the cases of failure to conform should not be viewed as personal failure or spiritual warfare. It can really harm someone forever. And I'll leave it at that. So with that preface to this work, I looked at the text of a piece that I had thought about performing in April, Un Soir by Mel Bonis, a French female composer. She had faced the imposition of her parents' standards by being married off to a man who was 22 years older than her and who had 5 children already by 2 deceased spouses, which was a decision made by her parents when they found out that she had fallen in love with a fellow student at the Paris Conservatoire who was a singer and a poet. They reunited years later, so it's not an entirely tragic tale, fortunately. Though unfortunately, this type of parental pressure, though not in the context of a forced marriage, is not unfamiliar in the context of my situation that I am pulling from. As for the song's poetry, it was written by an interesting character, Anne Osmond, who was not only a writer but a clairvoyant who wrote books like, Sorcery in Exorcism Through the Ages, The Symbolist Movement, The Creative Rhythm of Forces and Forms, and Medicinal and Magical Plants. So I could expect the poem to have symbolic and spiritual significance, to be sure. It paints this scene of the singer telling someone to lay their head down on the singer's lap and sleep while the rain patters on the window, counting the interminable hours. All the while, the sleeper will not hear these tears of heaven. Rain has obviously many meanings, like cleansing, transcendence, or even troubles and sorrows, as the final line of the poem suggests. I think it can mean several things within this singular context. The most mystical symbol connected with the rain falling is within the following verses. Quote, "Sometimes it, the rain, they say, under the cover of the forest, strikes the flight of an elytra." Not only does the textual focus shift from an internal, restful, and likely psychological perspective within a flowing musical line to an external, wilder world of the elements, but this flowing accompaniment also changes tone, dropping any piano in the bass clef and moving the repeating eighth note motifs from the opening A section upward and adding an ascending line to it from A5 to B5 and then to C6. Then the first half of this pattern is repeated in staccato as 16th notes instead of 8th notes alongside the word elytre, and has grown dynamically and finally metronomically to a più vivo. And voila, we have been given the idea of upward flight in the music to match the poem. This is important because the idea of transcendence, particularly in death, becomes even more pertinent alongside the existing mysticism of Osmond's writing when taken into consideration the ancient significance of Beatles' wings covers, the elytra, or the elytra in English. Their actual anatomical purpose is to protect the Beatles' wings, which one could imagine as symbolic maybe for our bodies, which we dispel upon death so that we may usher ourselves to the next plane. In researching the history of different cultures' uses of the beetle wing covers, I came across this entry. Young women from Thailand and Burma made singing shawls for funeral ceremonies, made of woven blankets embellished with white beads, and a fringe of beetles' wings and bells that tinkled as they walked, helping to send the deceased safely to the afterworld. As a commodity, beetle wings were harvested in the millions in the hardwood forests of Burma and northern Thailand, then exported to Calcutta for distribution. So, are the beetle wings ethically harvested? The beetles used for beetle wing embroidery have a very short lifespan of 3 to 4 weeks in their adult stage, so avoid killing the beetles. Only those that die naturally are collected. This struck me so strongly and connected the previous idea of transcendence to an existing tradition, and also the fact that the Beatles' lifespans were so short was also, unfortunately, very poignant in my situation. I so wanted to include the idea of flight into this piece too, because the person who was the catalyst for it just loved Peter Pan and was making a film about him. And every time I saw them, they would talk about it. They had made a giant crocodile and everything. It was so cool. And a trailer they had made for the sadly unfinished movie had flight graphics too, which probably took a lot of work as an independent filmmaker. So they were really invested. I think it's also important to note that Peter Pan is so very tied to the idea of leaving the troubles of the adult world behind and staying a child to have fun and do whatever you want in a beautiful place. The traumas that we experience are far away and require flight to even revisit them. And the actual inspiration for the original Peter Pan is tied to the death of a young person too. And I cannot help but be both so sad and so in awe of the odd connection that this song, Un Soir, a piece that I had at one point intended to do before this even happened, came to have for me in doing this. And so with the chiming of the piano and the supernatural image of Elytra to guide them, I wish my friend rest from the reins of life's troubles and to sleep in peace with dreams of not just animating flight, but flying to the greatest beauty they have known. And if anyone feels alone, know that there's a lot of people who care about you and would miss you. So here is Un Soir by Mel Bonis. Toi